Take a moment with me real quick. Wherever you are, in the car, at work, on a walk, just soften your shoulders. Inhale and exhale. Let's land together. All right, yo, what up, family? It's Gold, the Gold Giraffe, and you're listening to the Gold Giraffe audio notes. These are my little sonic letters, moments of clarity I send out when life checks me, when creativity teaches me, when the silence gets loud, or when something in my spirit says, hey, share this, somebody need it. Today's note is called When Consistency Comes Back to Check on You. And woo, this one got me in my feelings, so let's buckle in. All right, so let me take you back a bit. I had just finished building the whole grand vibrational design universe, the book, the website, the framework, the principles, all the things that's been in my head and my heart for years and finally existed out loud. I remember one day sitting there staring at everything I built in disbelief, like, dang, I actually did this. But that moment, that awe, slowly shifted to this strange stillness. One day of pausing turned into a week. A week somehow turned into 7 months. And during that time, I made a few splashes, sure. But inside, something wasn't right. Here's the part I didn't expect. I wasn't frustrated because people weren't liking or commenting. Leaving social media cured me of chasing that. Silence didn't scare me at first. But this silence, this was different. I had a whole list of people who had crossed paths in my work over the years, people who were genuinely interested in what I create. So I was sending out blogs, essays, reflections, and all I got back was silence. A reply here and there, and I appreciate those folks deeply, but mostly it was just quiet. It felt like I was standing on a stage in a huge hall where everyone had gotten up and walked out for intermission. Except I didn't know the intermission had started. And that silence hit my creative self-esteem harder than I expected. I started asking myself, does any of this even matter? Do people even care? Did I build all this for nothing? I had just quietly dropped an album, wrote a whole book, created an entire framework, and it felt like nobody noticed. And that hurt more than I wanted to admit. And what bothered me the most, I'm over here teaching creative alignment, creative confidence, creative sovereignty, and yet I'm tripping off the applause again. Now here's where it gets funny. Life didn't send me a sign during meditation or journaling. It didn't come through some deep philosophical moment. Nah, it came at my wife's birthday gathering. So we're celebrating, we're laughing, everybody's vibing, and out of nowhere, a friend looks at me and goes, bro, where the emails at? I haven't gotten one in a while. I miss them. And I just sat there like, you missed them? I didn't even know anybody noticed my inconsistency, let alone felt something when I stopped. To know someone was waiting, someone was wondering, someone cared enough to say something, whew, that hit different. That's accountability, the loving kind, the kind that taps your shoulder and gently goes, hey, we were listening. Don't disappear on us like that. A couple weeks later, I stumbled back across a blog I wrote, Why Consistency Still Matters in Your 30s, Even Without Results Yet. And reading my own words felt like somebody had turned a mirror toward me. It reminded me that I'm building something radically new. It reminded me that sometimes silence is not rejection, it's incubation. It reminded me that creativity moves in cycles and seasons, not algorithms. It reminded me that consistency was never about applause. It was about alignment. It was about keeping the pilot light of purpose lit, even when the room is empty. So here I am, returning to the rhythm, returning to the practice, returning to the conversations that used to pour out of me without hesitation. Not because the crowd is roaring, but because the calling is still whispering. If you're listening to this and you've ever felt discouraged by silence, if you ever poured everything into a project that barely made a sound, if you ever question whether your work matters, I want you to hear me clearly. Silence does not mean your impact isn't real. Silence does not mean your audience disappeared. Silence does not mean your purpose has expired. Sometimes silence is the classroom. Sometimes silence is the reset. Sometimes silence is the accountability partner you didn't know you needed. And sometimes silence is just people living their lives, not rejecting you, just being human. But your creativity, your gift, your alignment, you don't stop because it's quiet. You stop when you're done. And you're not done. Neither am I. Thank you for listening, fam. If this message hit something in you, share it with another creative who might be wrestling with the same silence. You can read the full written version of this story on the GVD blog at grandvibrationaldesign.com. And if you haven't gotten the book yet, The 12 Laws of Grand Vibrational Design is there too. Until next time, stay aligned, stay creative, stay faithful to the work. This is Gold, the Gold Giraffe, signing off. But before we go, take one more deep breath with me. Inhale and exhale. We still here. We still creating. We still becoming. Peace.